Natasha Maximovic is tech-savvy, wireless, and willing to share her information online so she can enjoy her gadgets.
I like playing video games. I like reading books on my e-reader.
She never expected reading a book or playing a game would lead to a real-life story of hacking, fear, and information sabotage.
That's the scary part, that someone else has my information. And that's the whole spiel of it. Just protect my information, end of story, and then things like this won't happen.
What happened was an estimated 77 million Sony PlayStation users' private information was compromised. 1 million in Canada, including birth dates, addresses, and possibly credit card numbers.
I have a lot of trust in Sony. I trust their products, I trust the corporation. Why were you hacked?
It was one of the biggest hacks credited to Anonymous, the political activist group that uses computer blackmail to get its message out. The hack was allegedly in retaliation to Sony for breaching internet freedom.
I don't know what their motives were. It doesn't matter to me. My information is supposed to be protected. Period.
Sony Canada declined to comment, but the hack cost Sony a reported $150 million worldwide, and the PlayStation Network remained offline for 3 weeks. Natasha has launched a $1 billion class action lawsuit against Sony for not protecting her information.
I feel that all the people that are in this case, you just have that fear. It's a natural fear.
So far, her identity has not been compromised and she remains a Sony customer, but she's vigilant. As for how she feels about Anonymous breaking in the first place, she's protesting the protesters.
You affected my life, you took my information online, so you have that fear. That fear grows.
Anonymous argues that by breaking into Sony, they actually did Natasha and millions of others a favor, bringing attention to holes in Sony's security that outed Anonymous member Greg Hausch says other criminals had probably found before.
Then the real bad guys, the ones who do this for a living and make lots of money off of identity theft and breaking into your bank accounts, and they beat us to the punch by years probably. We can yell that there's no security. We can yell that you should stop giving your personal information to all these companies, because by Anonymous and Null Security putting it out there, they're really showing you that it's already out there. You just, wouldn't listen.
Anonymous isn't out to make friends. They're out for a fight.
Almost everything that Anonymous does is criminal. At least what the government says is criminal. We cannot argue with this. We go from hacking to leaking private information and many more. But we feel that in order to bring attention on an issue, we must do these things. We have to do something called civil disobedience. We may go far in a few places, but those acts are vital to our overall mission of defeating corruption and doing it for the lulz.
This Anonymous member, who granted a rare interview to 16 by 9, makes no apologies. Karsten Johansson is in the business of trying to fortify security computer systems.
They're forcing companies to be a little bit more transparent and very cautious about how they conduct their business, because what Anonymous is doing, they are bringing a lot of attention in, which is good, but I can't say it justifies it. It just works.
And they are changing the game.
What it has come to now is that literally if Anonymous said XYZ about this particular person, even if it's not true and they don't bother backing it up, people are listening and it can be used for blackmail very easily.
And Anonymous may have the next person in their sights, charged with the murder of her daughter, acquitted by a court of law, but guilty in the eyes of the movement.
Some in our collective have been chattering about having our next target be Casey Anthony. The justification is that we've all had enough of her. We all know that she's guilty, even though the jury made the mistake of setting her free. And now she's releasing video blogs, trying to get more attention.
The impact of hacking from criminals cracking security systems to Anonymous's signature videos has become such a global epidemic that 2011 was declared the year of the hacker. Today, hacking is, for most, synonymous with law-breaking and protest. But not all hacking is bad. Some hackers are at the forefront of technology and creativity, others fighting to keep the bad guys at bay. Karsten is one of the good guys, making his living as what's called a tester, hired by Fortune 500 companies to see if hackers could break into their systems.
Hacking used to be a very, very difficult thing to do, and it was always associated with very smart people.
It started decades ago at the Massachusetts Institute for Technology, MIT in Boston, where some of the brightest technical minds conjure up things most of us could never imagine.
Where people were trying to figure out, well, this is a neat thing I've never seen before, and then trying to figure out everything they can about it.
Jobs, Gates, Wozniak, all legends in the computer world. Some say got their start by hacking. The results, a technical revolution. Laptops, online video games, smartphones, and software. Software engineer John Van Alten thinks you'd be surprised by all the things you use every day thanks to a hacker.
So many things that are becoming a ubiquitous part of our society, whether you talk about your iPhone or even your laptop, which started off as this general concept of a PC. All these things, they started off as some hacker's toy project.
If you listen to music on a laptop, stream movies online, or unlock your iPhone so you can switch providers, that's because hackers figured it out first. And hacking culture, old and new, is driven by sharing. If a hacker has found a weakness or a solution, it gets posted for other hackers to see and use however they want. It was in the mid-90s when things started to shift. Companies started to operate online, and there was money to be made breaking in, attracting a whole new breed of hacker called black hats, setting up the battle of good versus evil.
A hacker wasn't a bad term before. It was actually guys who had a little bit more knowledge than the average Joe, who knew how to work and program and how to manipulate a machine into doing wonderful things.
Some hackers are still doing wonderful things. This is a room full of them. They aren't out for world domination or even to cause a nuisance. They gather for a weekend to create, debate, and solve problems.
To me, hackers get a bad rap, and it's totally unfair.
It's called Random Hacks of Kindness, and they hold events all around the globe. Melanie Gorka is the Toronto event organizer.
All of these hackers that are coming to Random Hacks of Kindness are all trying to solve problems for humanity. So we call it a Hacking for Humanity. Random Hacks of Kindness is a community of developers, designers, subject matter experts, and technologists who get together for weekend-long code sprints or hackathons.
Volunteers gather to hack or design software to help people. Everything from water quality testing to medical care in remote communities. Building apps, some programs that can literally save lives.
A bunch of people getting together and trying to solve problems to make life better for people on a volunteer basis. And this really fascinated me. And as well, one of the things that attracted me to this event was that they were using open source software. Open source software is really amazing how people can collaborate around the world.
This weekend, John is working on a program to help identify safe drinking water using cell phone communication. These hackers work with big business like Google and Microsoft, using their brain power to solve problems. This weekend, there are more than 5,000 hackers taking part worldwide.
It is a big army of hackers and do-gooders who just want to get out there and make a difference in their communities.
It's impossible to know how big that hacker army is worldwide. Whether working for good or evil, they have a skill set that is in demand. For some driven by arrogance, others with a purpose. After all, some believe cyberspace is a hacker's world, and we're just visiting.
As long as, we're human, there's going to be hackers, because there's always going to be someone out there doing something that people don't agree with. And, a lot of civil disobedience going forward is going to be done from the keyboard, not out in the streets getting hit with a fire hose.